right down from your belly. So get in here, you half a queer. It's time for Calta and Kelly.
That's for you.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Calta and Kelly, where clearly only one of us could do the show at a time. My name is Mike Calta, and my buddy Robert Kelly, my number one best friend, is not here today. No, he's not traipsing all over Europe. Now, you had him on, Mush, since he got back, right? Yeah, we had him on. No, we had him on. He was still in Europe showing us pictures of the food where I've never seen him happier.
Yes.
And then, so he was on Friday, and Friday was a disaster. I don't know. When you think of Florida, Mush, what do you think of? Like when I was a kid and you thought of Florida, you thought of Disney World. What do you think of?
I think of Louisiana's stepfather.
Your what?
I think of Louisiana's stepfather.
That's kind of what we are. When I was a kid, it was Disney World and oranges, and I heard they got alligators up there too. Down there, and the Miami Dolphins and Miami Vice as I got older, and it was really cool. And then I ended up in Tampa, which had none of that in 1989, and Disney World's not quite as cool when you can go there every weekend, and then it's not cool for a while till you have kids again. So anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, okay, I got you. So my son, destined for the NFL, he has no choice. He's my 401k plan. He must do something. He has a tournament in Ocala. I was already off from work that Friday because I had to go to Chicago for a delayed funeral. I had to go to a funeral for a buddy of mine who passed away, but it happened during the pandemic, so they didn't have the funeral, and they were like, they were going to have the new thing now. I don't know if you know this, but when people die, they don't have funerals anymore. They have celebrations of life, which is kind of makes more sense because, like, I don't know if you think about it, but my ego makes me think about my funeral a lot, and I would just like to, I wish I could be there. You know what I mean? I want to hear all the good shit people say about me. Like all the shit Bobby gives you now, you feel he's like, fucking Mush was such a good kid. Maybe I was hard on Mush sometimes, but I was just trying to show him the ropes. You know what I mean? He was such a good kid. He was so reliable. And that's what you'll get. But you'll never get that until you're dead. And when you're dead, you never get to see it. So it's kind of like when you
die first.
What's that?
Well, I will probably die first.
Yes, I agree with that. It's kind of like when you leave high school and then all of a sudden you find all your high school friends on Facebook, and the really hot girls are like, they're not afraid to talk about sex now. And they were like, oh, I totally would have fucked you in high school. And you're like, why didn't I know in high school? You just wish you knew all that stuff when you went to high school. But anyway, So we got to go. So we got to go to Ocala. And at first I was upset because I had this trip planned to Chicago. And then I have been on a diet and working out for 2 months. I've lost almost 30 pounds, which I understand may not be quite visible to you people yet. I got a long way to go, but I'm on the best roll I've ever been on. So I don't want to fuck it up. And I know if I would have went to Chicago, you can't go to Chicago without eating. You just can't. Like, you can only have Chicago pizza in Chicago. You can only get those stupid hot dogs with vegetables on them in Chicago. It's just certain things that you could only do when you're in a certain place, So when I found out that I had to take my son to this thing, I was like, okay, I won't go to Chicago because the guy that I was going to see is already dead. He's not going to care. And then, I mean, that's the truth. His family might be like, what an asshole, but I only liked him. So then I was like, I'll go to Ocala. Now, Ocala, kind of a vacation because I go up on Thursday and my son stays for the night. We go up Thursday night and he stays with me in the hotel on Thursday night. And I booked a really nice hotel on a lake in a little community called the Villages. We'll get back to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. And we get there on Thursday night. We, idiot son that he is, he's like, I asked him 10 times before he left the house, got everything in your cleats, your socks, your underwear, and blah, blah. He's like, yeah, we don't wear any of that shit for that. I go, okay, well, I'm just making sure you have everything. Yeah, I have everything. And we get there. Oh, shit, what? I don't have a mouthpiece. Well, you're shit out of luck then. I asked you 10 times if you had anything. I go, make something out of an old sneaker. I don't know what you want. So I'm like, where the fuck am I going to find something open in Ocala at 9 o'clock at night? Well, I went to old reliable Walmart. Walmart, have you ever seen People of Walmart, the website?
Oh, yeah.
It's a delight.
Yeah.
People at Walmart has the dregs of humanity inside of Walmart. But I have to tell you, I kind of enjoy it. And I don't feel like I'm too far removed from it. Like I know what my financial status is. I know what my coolness factor is. I know that I get manicures every once in a while. I have a really expensive watch. But when I go to Walmart, I roll into Walmart the same as everybody else. Shirt with no sleeves, shorts, maybe Crocs. Okay.
What's happening in pajama pants?
Yeah. I'm there for Walmart. I'm not trying to impress anybody. It's one of the few places where I can go and let my guard down.
Yeah.
And then no matter what Walmart I'm in what city, I will stop by the ammunition counter and I will peer over to see if they have 410 shotgun shells because I can't find them anywhere. So we go to Walmart. Thank God it's open. And we did see there's always the weird group of wheelchair people that go at night. I guess maybe they feel weird in the day. Then there's the family that thinks it's fine to have their 2-year-old kids out past midnight. And,
Yeah.
that always bothers me. Like, but I don't know their story. But in my mind, I'm like, those kids should be sleeping and they shouldn't be eating food from Walmart. So
that story's probably meth.
yeah, I mean, I think there's always something more to those stories. But anyway, at least if he's a drug dealer, he's good a family man at the same time. So we go get the mouthpieces. We buy a couple other things that you buy at Walmart. No lie, beef jerky. What else? It was something like Gatorades, like real Walmart shit. And then we go back to the hotel. We go to sleep. Next morning, I have to drop him off at the field at 8:00 in the morning. So I get him there. I go to Starbucks. I find out that the Wi-Fi in my hotel is garbage. It hasn't been good since they invented Wi-Fi. Like, I'm surprised they didn't give me a number to dial into to get it to work. But I did know at the Walmart, there was an area outside where people were actually sitting and using the Wi-Fi like you would at a Starbucks, And the Starbucks that I went to didn't have a drive-through in it. It only had an inside, and it wasn't very big, so I couldn't go in there. So I drove to Walmart, got a solid connection. I tested it, and I'm like, boom, perfect. Then I hook up with you guys, and all I hear is you guys going, he's frozen, he's frozen, he's frozen. So I guess my Wi-Fi wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to do, and I feel bad. But I have to bail out. And who was on? Was Colin on Friday?
No, we had Colin Quinn on the phone and Dave Landau.
Oh, yeah, Dave Landau, who I like and we've never had on the show. So I was kind of looking forward to that. And I missed that. And then it was just a fucking mess. So then now it's 10:00 in the morning. And my son's now staying at that night he's staying at the football hotel with his team. So I got a whole day to myself with no kids, no wife, no dog, and I'm out of town. And I don't know if you know this, Motion. You can Google this at your own convenience. But the Village is known for swinging parties.
Oh, wow.
Well, let me go over the whole thing. The Village is the 60 and up community known for swinger parties. In fact, also known for a high area impact of venereal disease because the old people like to fuck in the Villages. So the Villages itself is kind of like a Disneyland on Main Street. Like they have this nice old hotel that I'm staying in, and then everybody's got golf carts, and you could pretty much just walk everywhere, even though I'm not. But they had restaurants, and they had a bookstore, and the Starbucks, and like little mom and pop stores, and then a movie theater with a big marquee and like 3 screens, and they weren't showing the Elvis movie, just shit like that. So like you could really see yourself living in that community, and it's all along this giant lake. So there's little boats you can rent and stuff. And I'm thinking this could be a fucking fun time. So then I call into my show on the phone, and they tell me that in the Villages, the way that they find swingers to be in swinger parties is that they hang loofahs, those little ball sponges.
Yeah.
They hang those on their golf carts. And I had the list, but like a red one means the full on swinger. A yellow one meant like they like the soft swap, like they like to be in the room, but they don't like to switch partners. And each one had a different color. And then black, but black didn't mean what you think. Like I'd feel like the black one is like really trying some dangerous territory, but it didn't. It was just meant something else. But anyway, I thought about just hanging some loofahs on my fucking windshield and just seeing what happens, but I was too scared to do it. I did though on Friday night. The Lightning played, and I wanted to see the game, so I went to what I thought would be the hot spot, Cody's Roadhouse, which is one of those steak joints where you could eat the peanuts and throw the shells on the floor. And I thought at least this will be the happening spot. So I roll into the bar on that Friday, and I am the only one in the bar. There's 7 TVs, and they're all showing golf from the past. I lean into my waitress and I go, "Hey, I hate to be a pain in the ass, but do you think on one of these TVs we could put on the hockey game?" And she goes, "The hockey game?" And I go, "Yeah, the NHL Stanley Cup." "Oh, yeah, okay." I go, "You know we have a team from our state that's in it." "Yeah." And she had no clue. But sure enough, they turned them on all the TVs for me. So I ate. Then the other thing about Cody's, I don't know if you've ever seen a Cody's or been to a Cody's, but it's a chain steak restaurant, like a Longhorn kind of thing. And the food's actually okay for what it is. And they have these rolls. I don't even know how to explain them other than they look like they're like smooth like a baby's ass. Like if you looked at a baby's ass this way and it had the 2 little bumps and they're golden brown on the top, and they come with a syrupy like maple butter that's whipped, and they put those 2 little cups in there. And the minute you walk in, it's really all you smell. And she came over and she brought it to my table, and I went, I yelled at her in a foreign language. And she looked at me. I go, "Please take it away, because Fatty will not be able to have it on the table and not want to eat it." So she took it away. So now I'm there with my salad and my steak, and I'm pretending to enjoy it, and I'm watching my team. And that was the highlight of my time at the Villages. Then when I went back to the hotel, oh shit, I've been up since 5. I went back to the hotel, and there was a little action on the first floor. You walk in, and there is a restaurant / bar that is right there on the first floor, and it had been dead the whole day, but now it's nighttime, and that's when the village creeps come out. So I heard some noise in there. I saw some 70-year-old ladies like in ball gowns, and I go, "Fuck yeah, let's see what's up in this place." And then I don't think my wife would be, I don't think she'd be happy if I cheated on her with a 70-year-old woman, but I think she'd be more disgusted than she would be mad. Like, I don't think she's like, "We're getting divorced." She would just be like, "You're gross." I mean, I think that. I might be wrong. She might say divorce. But anyway, I go over to the dining area, and I poke my head in, and there's a woman in a long gown, probably in her 60s, and she's singing with a karaoke machine, but not doing karaoke. Like, she's the entertainment for the night, and she's singing for all the people, and she's like, "Do you know the way to San Jose?" And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she went, and I went, "Nope." And I dipped my head back out, because there were no TVs in that bar, and there was no hockey game, and there was nobody in there under the age of 70 or 60, and I felt like it was not the place for me, and I went back up to my room, and I stayed there, and I was so bored. In the daytime that there was nothing to do that I went to Walmart twice. I went once to try and do the show, and then I was like, let me go back to Walmart and see what's going on there. Walk around. No 410 shotgun shells. No more beef jerky. I just walked around to see what was going on, and then got back in my car and left. And then I stumbled upon a Barnes & Noble bookstore. That's right. I was so bored I resorted to reading from a book. And I went in there, and I bought a couple of books. I bought a couple of things for my daughter, and then I bought a book about Greece, which I'm going to, and a book about Rome, which I've been to, but I want to kind of look some things up before I go. And then I bought Tom Segura's new book, which I understand is very funny. And then I took a picture with it and tweeted it out, but I really haven't even cracked it open yet. I assume it's funny.
It looks like you froze, Mike.
Oh, come on.
There you go. Now you're going.
Sorry. Yeah. How's that? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had the window minimized. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah. So anyway, did you hear me though?
Oh yeah, we heard you the whole time.
Yeah.
It just like your picture was just frozen.
Yeah. Oh, that's the bread. Look at that. Look at that. It's. I mean, that's bread that's been on the table for a couple of minutes. But when they bring it out for just one person, it's just 2 of them together, and it looks like a sweet baby's ass. Not in a sexual way, but you ever look at a little fat baby and you're like, I want to bite that baby.
Yeah,
just to sink your teeth into it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it's made of dough.
Yeah, all right, exactly. You know what I'm saying. So, and then that butter at the end of that table, boy, that's some good shit right there.
Yeah,
I might
that
put
butter
that on
has
a
like
dick at
that
one point.
kind of sweetness to it.
Yeah, you know what's up.
Steakhouse rolls and butter are amazing.
So, couldn't have any of it though. Couldn't even really have any good vegetables. Like, at least if you're gonna spoil it, get some corn. I can't even eat the corn.
Yeah.
So really, going out to dinner has really become a hindrance to me when it used to be such a special thing. Now everybody's like, "You want to go out to eat?" And I go, "No, I absolutely don't. We'll just sit home." Yes.
I had a question. What's going on with your radio show? Because I haven't talked to you since that wasn't up in the air.
So it's funny, Mush. I'm not allowed to talk about it on my show. I wonder if I'm allowed to talk about it on this show. Let's just go with it. So my contract ran out 2 weeks ago on a Sunday. And I said, I'm not signing an extension. I'm not doing anything, blah, 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 blah. But I did sign a 1 week extension out of the gate because it seemed like we were about to agree on it. And then, if we say to you, Mush, we want you to be the producer of the Calta and Kelly show, and we want you to do it for 3 years for $1 million. And you say, okay, but I also would like a percentage of merchandise. And we go, yeah, that's fine. And you're like, and I would like a talent fee for being at the live gigs. And we go, yeah, of course, that's fine, whatever. And we go, okay, all this seems pretty good. And now we have to write the contract. So then we get the contract, and then I say, here you go, Mush. This is exactly what you asked for. And now that contract says $900,000 a year for 4 years. And you only get $10 at the live gigs, and you get no percentage of merchandise. And you're like, well, this is not what we talked about. Well, are you sure? I think it's what we talked. No, it's not. I get $1 million, and you're like, you know what? Mark it up, send it back. We'll bring it to the lawyers, and we'll get it done. Okay, cool. So then they mark it up, and then they go, well, we have a question about this percentage of merchandise. How much merchandise has to be sold before we can give Mush? And it's just them going back and forth right now. So I'm just sitting here in limbo while my agent and the company that I've worked for 15 years work out all the bullshit details. So I signed a week-long extension. That expired. And then this past Sunday, I was issued another extension, and I signed that as well. And this will probably be the last one. I think my agent says anyway, he's pretty sure that we will have a deal midweek this week, which is fine with me because the money is not really the problem. It's all that cocksucker language that they put in there where they're like, oh, and by the way, we could fire you at any time. And you're like, nope, I don't think so. And they're like, just kidding. We can't fire you, but we do own all your material. And you're like, nope, I don't think so. So it's a lot of that back and forth bullshit, but it should be pretty good. The problem was last time, like when I couldn't make the show, we were getting a lot of offers from other radio companies, and they were pretty good offers. But when you work for a company for 15 years, you have to decide, is it all worth leaving and going into the unknown? And then is it worth going back to the only company you've ever been fired from, and they fired you twice? And you're like, I don't know. And also, their stock's closing at $8 a share when it used to be $28 a share. And you're like, if I'm going to leave, it's really got to be the right deal. So I don't know. And then if I am made an offer that I'm considering, I then have to present that offer to my company so they can get all mad about it and they have the first right to match. But I think we did a good job weeding out all the offers and staying with the company that has been good to us, and we've been good to them. And they also are letting me broadcast from my house, which was a great coup because they didn't want that. I don't know why they'd want me back in the building. I'm not the most charming guy to hang out with at 10 o'clock in the morning. I want to just get the fuck out of there when my show's over. And I talk to the salespeople on my phone now more than I ever did when I was in the building. So one time I was on the cruise, on the Calta cruise, and I got an email, and the guy said, I have great news. There's a company called, I forgot, Bob's Dent Company. And they are a huge fan of your show. And I cold called them for a meeting, and I pitched them on an endorsement, and they bought a 52-week endorsement. Can you please come see me when you get back from the cruise so we can get this done? I'm very happy for both of us. And I wrote back, well, that is great news. And when I get back on the office on Tuesday, I will come and look for you. The one problem though is I don't know who the fuck you are. I had no idea who the guy was. And he wrote back and he was like, I understand, I'm very forgettable. I'm Brian. My desk is over here. And I was like, great, Brian, I will see you then. And I wasn't even being like a dick. It's just I don't there's a high turnover rate with salespeople, and I didn't know who that guy was. And he came in guns blazing and sold an endorsement. I was like, sorry, dude, I don't know here. And guess what? He doesn't work there anymore. So yeah, that's just how it goes. But so far, mush, I should have another job besides this one for at least the next couple of years. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the terms yet. Yeah. You say awesome. I say,
yeah. I loved your analogy for me. It's like, yeah, I think you'd also put it down to unlimited breadsticks. Like, yes,
yeah.
I'll take the deal.
You know, I love my agent. I would never fire him. He got me where I am today, financially and security wise. I used to have real bad anxiety because so when my wife was pregnant, I worked for iHeart, and they fired me when my wife was like 6 months pregnant. And if you want to talk about being scared, that's when you have your first baby coming. You went from a job that was paying you a couple $100,000 to having no job. And my wife, who was pregnant, had to go back to her jobs that she was taking maternity leave on. So we had some money coming in. That was a shitty time. Then this company hired me while that was going down. So I also feel like I kind of owe them a little bit of loyalty to stay with them. But yeah, that was a shitty time, man. Can you imagine that? Like your first kid's on the way. It's the most glorious time of your life. You're like, oh, this is what we waited for. Well, oh, by the way, you're fired. And you're like, and I got fired because I asked Dolph Lundgren if Grace Jones ever tried to put it in his butt. Like I didn't even say anything bad. You ever see Grace Jones? You know who she is?
Yeah, she was in Conan.
Yeah. She's like a big muscular black chick with a mohawk in the 80s, and she was really cool. I don't even think she spoke English. She just used to growl and bite at people. And Dolph Lundgren went out with her for a little while, and he was a great guest. And I was like, boy, I bet that was good sex. And he was like, oh yeah. I go, yeah. Did she ever try to put it in your butt? And he just started laughing. It was just a joke, like to make people laugh. And somebody reported me to the FCC. And then I said this. Mush, and think about this. This isn't even that big of a deal. And this is funny because one of the things is that the guy who was trying to get me in trouble just wanted my job. So he typed out all of the text from my conversations and the violations and sent that in along with accompanying audio. Fucking idiot. But anyway, I said this. Like, yeah, look at those two. Boy, he was good looking back in the day. He's even like a good looking old man now.
Yeah.
So I said this word of wisdom, which at the time I really thought was genius for saying this. I thought it was funny and I thought it was shocking, and it's so dumb and boring now 15 years later that I say it, but it was at the time where I think the Pam Anderson sex tape was like the big deal, and other celebrity sex tapes were starting to come out. And then we started talking about, have you ever made a sex tape? Have you ever made a sex tape, Mush?
No.
Mush, let me ask you again. Have you ever taken a picture of your ex-wife or a girlfriend or something doing something, to maybe blowing you or something?
No, actually.
Never took a picture of her. Maybe she's getting undressed or something like that. Maybe she sent you a little sexy video.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. See, so that's the beginning of it. Then when you're like there's a couple of times where my wife and I would be fooling around and I try to snipe the phone and take a quick video. I'm not showing it to anybody or sending it to anyone by any means, but she'd always catch me going, are you taping? It's like a silly little thing. Then she'd watch it later and be like, that's gross, erase it. And we'd erase it. And it's already in the cloud and somebody else jerked off to it already. Who cares? So, but when it comes to making a sex tape, the same reason why I don't want to get my back waxed before I go on vacation is the same reason I don't want to make a sex tape. I don't want to make the woman doing the back waxing. Like I get my nose and my ears waxed by this cute little girl. And I don't want to be, well, today's the day we're going to go for the back waxing and just take my shirt off and laying there with my sporadic back hair and random pimples on my back and have this smoking hot girl have to rip all the hair off my back. I just feel bad for her. You know what I mean? And then in trying to make a sex tape, I don't want, and here was my words that got me in trouble. You don't want to make a sex tape because you never want to see up your own asshole. And I said butthole because we're on the air. Think about it. we watch porn and we watch a lot of girls' assholes and stuff like that. And every once in a while, you'll see a guy really going to town. And you get a shot of his asshole, and you're like, oh, that guy gets his asshole waxed. He's got a pretty good looking asshole. But I haven't gotten my asshole waxed. I also know that at a time, you know, I had like a hemorrhoid or something, and I, you know, I don't know if it's a fat guy thing or what, but when I go number 2 or I'm in the shower, I like to get in there and clean. I don't want to be like, I've been around fat dudes that smell and they smell like they can't wipe their ass, and I don't want to ever be that guy. So when I get in there, I get in there. There's nothing. I mean, I would say there's nothing gay about it, but maybe there is. I'll go in there 2.5 fingers sometimes and really get all the grime out. I don't want anything old sticking in my pipes, clogging my pipes up. So I'm really good about that. And I used to go toilet paper and then wet wipes until I saw that meme where they showed all the wet wipes clogging up the drain. And I was like, no more of that shit. But I like to get it nice and clean in there. But still, I don't know what it looks like, but I know what it feels like. And it feels like something I don't want to see. It feels like something that's an area of my body that is not worth showing off. You know what I mean? Like I don't really odd is that for a big guy, when I sweat, like if I'm playing basketball or something, I don't have instant body odor. You know, that smell that most Middle Eastern guys have. It's just a tinge of body odor. And you're like, how do you not know? How do you not know that you smell it? Well, I don't really have that. I really have to do, like, I'd have to go like 2 days of no showering and sweating before my armpits start to really stink. They sweat, but they don't stink bad unless you got straight up in there really close, you know?
Right.
And that's, I still don't want to show off my gross armpits. It looks like an old woman with, who's losing her hair, you know? It's like kind of smooth, kind of wrinkled. And that, so the last thing I want to do is look at my own asshole in motion, no less.
Yeah,
watch
you don't
that
want to see a
inertia.
crunchy made of elbow skin.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that, and I certainly don't want to be like to my wife, "Hey, you want to watch that video of us fucking?" And she'd be like, "Oh, that could be kind of hot." And then you put it on, and what do you see? Is my big asshole in and out, puckering with the motion. No, it's just not my deal. Oh, you know what I did? So I watched a video the other day by accident. It was on YouTube. It wasn't porn. And the lady was like, she's evidently very popular on TikTok. She's a Chinese lady, a young Chinese lady, and she makes healthy food the Chinese way. I think that's what's called, the Chinese way. And she's like, today I'm gonna take a banana flour and make it the Chinese way. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, what's a banana flour? You ever go to the store and see like 70% of the fruit there, and you don't even know what the fuck it is or how you would eat it if you got it home? I don't even know what parts to eat. Today I went in there and they had a whole section of oranges that looked like the oranges had cancer. Like I go, like, who's eating these? Who's buying? They may be the most delicious things ever, but they look just like they got tumors on them. So I don't know what the thing is. Then they got grapes that taste like cotton candy. Then they got dragon fruit, which kind of looks cool in color, but I don't know how to eat that fucking thing. It looks like a pink eggplant.
Yeah, so like alien eggs.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. So that was the thing we used to do back in the day when I was on the country station. When I used to be shocking, we used to play "Do You Want to Eat My Meat?" And I would just go to the deli counter and I would order something that I couldn't pronounce or I never saw before, like that clear shit, that conglomerate of all the other stuff, that head cheese, which isn't cheese at all, I find out. And I would just make one of the interns eat it so they could tell me what it tastes like. But the fruits, there are so many fruits there that you've never, oh, let's look at this. Yeah, acai has become the thing. I don't know what a kiba is. That looks like the barrel cactus. I mean, do you think you'd be able to eat that? That looks like a hairy watermelon.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It looks like my asshole if it were green. So.
Yeah. A Cape gooseberry sounds delicious, but I don't know. Buddha's hand, breadfruit, cheese fruit. I mean, they probably go good together. See, now guava I've had because I used to live in Miami. Now the dragon fruit we bought one day. We're like, fuck it, let's just buy this and figure out how to eat it, and it was all right. I mean, it's prettier than it is tastier.
Yeah, like gooseberries. I've had those before. Those are good.
I don't know what is that?
Which
looks
one?
like the kupakaku.
I don't know. Yeah, that just looks like somebody like pooped in a nut. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Now, the durian fruit, I think I remember. Do you ever see Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern?
Oh yeah.
I used to love that show when it first came on, and Andrew Zimmer was in town one time, so I shooting, and I went over to meet him and interview him, and I said, two things I really asked him that I'm sure that a lot of people ask him. This one is like, "What's the worst thing you've ever eaten?" And because I said, "Look, I've seen you eat about every animal's balls, and I've seen you eat all sorts of eyeballs and other stuff, and I'm Sicilian. We ate a lot of gross shit as it was. What's the weirdest thing that you like or apprehensive about eating?" And would you ever eat human? If somebody told you it was human meat cooking, would you try it? And he said, out of all the things he's eaten, the worst thing was a fruit. And I want to say it was the durian fruit because
Probably.
it smelled so bad. He said the smell was like somebody threw up in it and it sat in the sun for a month, and then you had to figure out how to eat it. And he goes, the taste wasn't that bad. The texture was gross, but the smell was so bad that it couldn't let you enjoy anything of what you were eating. So I mean, I would think that some of the balls would have been the grossest thing he ever ate, but he said it was the fruit. And then also, I watched one episode when he was in Japan, and he ate a poisonous blowfish. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah.
They take the poison sac out, but it doesn't remove it altogether. And when you eat it, your mouth goes numb for a couple of seconds, and you have to wait and see if it comes back. Then they took the right thing out. If they didn't, then you might be fucked. Like, I don't give a shit how good it was. There's no way I'm rolling the dice on putting deadly poison in my mouth just to make these fucking A&E folks happy. There's no way that was happening.
Yeah, you don't want to
So
be that chef's first one.
yeah, I don't want Chef to go, oop, mistake. Yeah, no. I've seen some really gross shit, and that guy has no problem trying it. And I thought, I have been in other countries and I've eaten food and I've taken some massive shits right after, and I go, yeah, that's not for me. So I don't know what that guy, you want to talk about somebody that doesn't want to see his own asshole. That guy does not want to see his own asshole. But anyway, I've gone a long way off track here for this.
Yeah.
The smell is the worst thing in the world, but it really doesn't taste that bad. Is that the durian fruit that they're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's hard for me to watch the chat because I have to look forward while I do this so I could see into the camera. Yeah. So I heard the smell is just the shits, man. So I got sidetracked here. So today during the show, I was trying to talk about the lady making the banana flowers.
Right.
Now, the banana I told you looked like a pink eggplant, but she opened it up and then there were these little flowers in there that kind of look like scallions, maybe. I don't even, maybe not, I don't know, whatever. But she would rip them off and throw them in a pot. Then finally, when she had them, she boiled them. Then she threw them in a wok and she put in oil and hot pepper and other stuff. And it fucking looked so good. And then she ate it and she's like, oh, delicious. And I thought, that's a fruit and a flower I've never heard of. This woman just cooked it and made it look delicious. Yeah, that's it. So I'm trying to tell my listening audience this morning, and I couldn't think of the name of it. So I start going to YouTube and searching funny Chinese lady that cooks flowers. And then nothing's coming up. Then I'm getting funny Chinese lady cooks healthy food. And I get a bunch of other shit. And I'm like, all right, Chinese lady cooked the flower of a plant. Nothing. Then I realized, holy shit, I wrote it down. So I start going through my notes, banana flower. But before I found that, I was searching Chinese lady cooks, and two of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life came up. One was, and you can find this if you want, Mush, or not. This is entirely up to you. Okay. It's on YouTube. It's not censored, and it looks like a giant mushroom, like a brown cap of a mushroom. And I was like, oh, that looks like a big mushroom. And then the words come up, this is a cow's vagina. And I went, I don't think so. I don't think I'd be interested in that. And then I mentioned it on the air. So then Joe, my video guy, starts pulling up other videos, and the guy is washing the cow's vagina. It's not attached to the cow. It's just laying there looking like a round mushroom. But he started getting a little crazy with it, started doing the 2-finger, what's up, cigarette machine, whole deal, and going in there. And I was like, okay, he's just celebrating it now. It's fucking disgusting. And I wouldn't eat that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't eat it, but if you gave it to me fried and I was like, what is this? And you said cow's vagina, I wouldn't throw up. I'd be like, all right. I've eaten the lining of the cow's stomach. I've eaten a lot of the cow. So the vagina, I wouldn't ask for it, but if it was cooked and it was there, I might be like, all right, give me a shot. The other thing, and this I will I would rather starve. Oh, there it is. That's the one that I saw, Mush. That's the one that I saw. And I don't know that that's the one that begins to get sexually molested a little bit later on in the video, but you could see right around the center where the lady parts are, and at the bottom there's kind of like a butthole lingering around there.
Yeah.
And then that guy just begins violating it with 2 fingers, just like the way he did to many underage girls in his land. I'm sure. And then that intestine that's attached to it, get rid of that too. Also, if you stare at it from far enough away, it looks like somebody's making a mean face at you. Looks a little bit like De Niro. So while I'm still searching for the happy Chinese lady makes food, another video came up, and it was 2 dainty, lovely young Asian women, I believe Vietnamese, and they were like, at the same time they bow, hello, we make a food for you. And I was like, okay. And they're like, today we teach you how to make a rat, grilled a rat. And they had a whole plate of dead rats, and they were just so excited about it. And there are very few things. I'm not afraid of rats, but I'm skeeved out by them. I don't want to touch one. I don't want to feel its stupid tail on my leg. They had a whole tray of dead rats, and then they would just take them and put them in a pot of boiling water. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't figure out what the next step was. I just kept going, but they have hair. They have hair on them. They have hair. I couldn't say anything else while I'm watching this, but they're covered in hair. So they let them boil. Then they take them out of the thing, and then they just begin to rip the skin and hair. Oh, it is the most skivatsa thing you'll ever see in your fucking life. And I really thought to myself, I'd rather starve.
I can't show the video because it'll probably flag us, but
don't show it.
But I can show that one still.
Well,
we did watch the video before on the JOP, I believe.
Yeah, I did think that I had seen this before, but boy, is that awful. That is really fucking awful. Now you start going back. What's that?
I was like, all those Chinese cooking like TikToks, like they all like show like how they burn the hair off.
Yeah,
like they have like a whole like cow head. And they just burn the hair off, boil it, steam it for like two hours or whatever, and they're just eating off the skull.
But even that you can go to a seafood place, like a nice seafood store, buy yourself some what do you like? A little cod, a little salmon, maybe some grouper, and even the best seafood joints are gonna miss a bone every once in a while. You got a little bone in the rib in there, the spine or something, and you're like, gross. Yeah. So those dirty rat hairs, they're gonna be in there on your lips. It's just disgusting to even think about. Yeah, I gotta tell you, that really hurt my belly today. It really did. Watching that was fucking gross.
The lady we're talking about, that's Cooking Bomb, right?
Cooking who?
Cooking Bomb, I think her name is.
You might be right. I couldn't find her again. She was I don't know. She was a funny little Chinese lady, but I was afraid that I was going to see other parts of animals being cooked that I never wanted to see in my life, and I was quite frightened by it. So that was basically my day. Then today, so I've been on this health kick. You ever hear Joe Rogan talk about athletic greens? Oh, yeah. I don't like to eat vegetables. I don't. I find them to be fucking disgusting. Every one of them. That's why I'm trying to eat banana leaves and rat tails and all that. Yeah, I mean, like I would try that because I like an onion. That looks like it has an onion kind of texture to it. Yeah, I think that's the lady. So I don't know where to get that, and it may not even be good. The way she made it looked good. So I ordered the athletic greens because I'm definitely not getting enough vegetables in my life, and this here is like one serving is supposed to be enough vegetables for the day and all that. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So it doesn't taste as much like asshole as you think it would. It's got a kind of lemony taste to it. So I just 2 chugs and I have it down and I'm good. Mm-hmm. So I'm really like a couple of days into it. I'm working out every day. So I'm feeling really good. So then I've been reading that when you over 50 and you have inflammation, one of the things you should do is give blood to get some of that blood out to for the inflammation and it's just healthier to get rid of some of the blood for your body. I was like, let me go give blood today. So I went and gave blood, and I almost had to call you after and be like, Mush, I don't think I could do the show today. It was like they drained the energy out of me. I've given blood plenty of times, both for charity, like just to give it, and also for like when 9/11 happened, we gave blood a lot. When COVID happened, I gave plasma, and which is nothing more than they take your blood and they spin it. But I never had a problem, except when I was in college in 1989. I played I was playing flag football at St. Leo, and then my fraternity brothers came over and they're like, "Come on, we got a blood drive. We got to give blood." So I left and gave blood, and they were like, "All right, make sure you eat something." And we're like, "All right, cool." And we went to lunch afterwards. We ate, and then we're like, "Fuck it, let's just go play football again." And we went and played football, and I passed out for the first time in my life. I fainted from being out in the Florida sun and donating blood, and I guess I just didn't have enough, whatever. So today, I was feeling pretty weak. But yeah, other than the yawning, I feel fine. I've been rejuvenated. So, if you're just watching the show, my name is Mike Calta. I'm Bobby Kelly's #1 best friend. I'm sorry that's bad news to all you YKWd fans, but the regular show with Calta and Kelly will resume probably on Friday, maybe on Monday. Who knows? And we'll be back to doing our thing. You know what's fucked up is that I'm off from work Friday, which doesn't mean I can't do this show. I'm off from work. And then I'm off Monday for 4th of July. Then I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Friday after the show, I leave to go on my Super Europe vacation where I'm gone for like 12 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's right. You're going to Greece, right?
I'm going to Rome first for a couple of days. Then I'm hopping on a cruise there and going through Greece, and then ending up in Barcelona and staying in Barcelona a couple of days, then coming home, which is really weird because it seems like every motherfucker I know went to Greece this year. Mike Feeney was just in Greece, or I said it this morning, and it's so adorable when I say it. You ready for this?
Okay.
Mike Feeney's in Santorini. Feeney in Santorini. Him and his hot wife are there, and I text him and I was like, "Dude, I'm going there next week. How is it?" He's like, "It's fucking great. Athens is gross, filled with graffiti, and it's 104 degrees, but Santorini is beautiful," which is pretty much what everybody says. And my goal is to just not gain all my weight back in Rome when I get to Rome, because I will eat pizza and other stuff while I'm there. So,
well, if you ever go to Bangkok, here is
no.
This is the most. It's not gross. This is the most popular meat stall in Bangkok. I wonder if you can see why it is.
Oh, hello. Can I tell you right there from that picture? I don't know if you agree with this or not, but to me, side boob is underrated, man. I like side boob almost better than cleavage.
I agree with that. Side boob
even if it's a droopy side boob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women pay too much attention to shit that they read. Guys, we like your titties no matter how they are. If they're saggy, if they have freckles, if you've had kids and they got a couple of stretch marks on the side. I mean, at least I do. I appreciate them for what they are. And based on what you're giving me is what I could do with them. If you got floppy dog ears, I could still play pig in a blanket with those. Just got to hold them a little tighter. And I can jiggle them up a little bit. I like them. And fake boobs aren't so bad either. They're a little Hostess cupcakey, but you get used to it. I don't know. My wife had really nice boobs, and then she had kids, and her boobs just got really weird. And then she started working out, and she started losing the size of her boobs because her muscle were growing. And then she had under boobs pretty good too. Then she had a boob job because I was so against it, but I felt bad because her boobs were kind of saggy, and for a girl who works out as much as she does, I was like, yeah, get a little lift. So they do a little lift and then a little boob job, and I feel like at the end of the day, we made a good decision.
Yeah, I think overall we're all pretty Billy Joel about it, like just the way you are.
Just the way you are. Just the way you are. Unless you got real fat, then that's a problem.
Yeah,
we talk about that too. I'll say I see girls I went to high school with that I'm friends with on Facebook, and some of them were cute in high school and they're really cute now. Like some of these girls, I'm like, what do you drink? Vampire blood? What do you got? Babies ball sack blood? Like whatever the Republicans are drinking. Because they look like they're 23 and still fucking smoking hot. I don't know how. I'm like, how are we the same age? But some of them really let themselves go, and I don't expect to see them at the reunions, if you know what I'm saying. just one profile picture from the shoulders up. We know what you're hiding.
Oh,
come on, Claire, we see you.
Well, weird angle.
Yeah, but whatever. Listen, you get married, and you take all your vows. One of the vows should be, I promise not to get too fat, because you're thinking it the whole time and nobody wants to say it. And I'm happy in my case, my wife married me fat. So she got what she was bargaining for. But, she knew what she was getting is what I meant to say. Yeah. But if you get a wife or a husband and they just start It's not so much that they balloon it up because, like, say you guys just start eating at good restaurants, so he just gets a little chunky. You're like, yeah, whatever. But say they get into one of those weird depressions where all they could do is eat fucking cereal and drink in the middle of the night. Then you're like, all right, I gotta get out of here. This is getting unhealthy for us both. Anyway, sorry I had to bring the show down. Back to banana fruits.
Yeah.
So now,
cow vaginas.
yeah. Now I'm sorry that I have been I'm ignoring the chat because as you can see right now, if I look this way to read the chat, I can't. That's it. I gotta look this way. So, Bobby will be back, I believe, on Friday. So, for all you people who are mad today, don't worry about it. We'll all be together. I don't know. He had some stuff to do that we couldn't figure out the time. At first, we were going to try and go at 10, and he couldn't go at 10. And I was like, well, I don't want to push it off till Tuesday. I'll do it. And I miss Bobby too. We haven't really had to have any good quality time together in over a month now because he left with his other friend, Louie, his more successful friend, Louie. By the way, I really like Louie. Like, I really think that Louie and I and Bobby, if we went out to dinner, it would be comfortable after a couple of minutes. You know, because there's a thing about Louis that makes you feel really uncomfortable right out of the gate. And I don't mean like anything Louis ever done. I mean, just, you know, he's successful and you know he takes no shit. So you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to like me. But after hanging out with him a little bit, I feel like I feel like we can click a little bit. Like, I don't feel like he's ever going to be like, hey, call that guy up, Mike, and see if he wants to sit with me courtside at the Lakers, me, him, and Chris Rock. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I think that Louis may be like, hey, see if that guy Mike wants to come on the boat this weekend. That I feel like could happen someday.
Yeah.
But it's probably not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I can eat on my diet is cheese. And thankfully, from the Cheese Show, which you could find on YouTube. And let me tell you, remember the beginning when the Cheese Show didn't have a lot of followers and we're trying to help build it up? And now the Cheese Show has become a staple in the cheese community. And every time I log on to one of my Instagram accounts, whether it be mine, the Calta and Kelly one, the Mike Calta Show one, my new one, Fat Robot, which I'll tell you about. Anytime you get on one of those, Joe is in my feed, in my algorithm. So good for you and your hot soon-to-be wife. Is Joe ready?
He's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the king of cheese, Joe with a new 5. Here we go.
Hey,
Hello,
everybody.
Joe.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
What's going on?
Hey, you look good. I haven't seen you in a while. You're back to looking like your old self again.
Oh, thanks so much. Want to hear the most ironic thing that happened to me yesterday?
Tell me you ate a cow's vagina.
Just in college. Yeah, this is so crazy. I went to mrsfields.com and the website didn't ask me to accept their cookies.
We're rolling right out of the gate already. All right, here we go. One down. That's one down. Go ahead.
You guys were talking about Chinese food. This is sad news. I don't know if you saw this. Hong Kong's famous jumbo floating restaurant has sunk at sea.
Oh, my.
What a shame to see a good restaurant go under.
Yes, I like it.
Now they're going to need to get new waiters. Boots, that is.
Hey.
The other day, I was on the NYC subway and I saw a PSA poster. It said, "Attention drug users. Avoid using alone and always take turns. Start with a small dose and go slow." Apparently, they don't care if we do drugs. They just want us to have a good time.
Is that real?
Yeah, I saw it. "Attention drug users, don't forget snacks." On the third MGM Lion Roar of the Wizard of Oz, press play on Dark Side of the Moon.
Those are potheads.
Mike, you ever been to McDonald's and caught a glimpse of the kitchen?
I have seen the kitchen.
What the hell's going on back there?
Something.
Looks like they're cooking with hospital equipment.
It's true.
It's like, you can't even identify it. It's like, hey, is that the fryer? Is that the grill? What is that, a dialysis machine? Why is there an old man getting his blood work by the McFlurries? I'll take a Big Mac, value meal, and do you accept Blue Cross Blue Shield? All right.
I'm with you.
All right. Okay, here's the last one.
Last one already?
Yeah,
You've blown
yeah.
through 4 already?
These are actually this is a long one this week.
Yeah, you were right into it with the Mrs. Field, so I wasn't prepared. But go ahead.
The other day, I heard someone say that we might have to start having back alley abortions again. That's not good.
No.
I also pray that we don't have to go back to main drag miscarriages. And then even worse, side street stillbirths.
Oh.
Dare I say, footpath fetuses?
Oh.
All I know is you better get yourself a good pair of boots. Yep. That's the second joke tag about boots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very good, Joe. New 5 with Joe. Anytime you can close with strong abortion jokes, you know you're destined for greatness.
Where's Bobby?
I know Bobby had something to do, and we couldn't get our
Of what he
schedules.
did in that clip.
We couldn't get our schedules right, so I told him I would take over for today. And I can't believe that it's almost over already, that we've literally been talking for 51 minutes. I just ramble, man. I don't know if that's a gift or a disease, because I feel like I just sat down.
I like a
That's
solo
crazy.
mic. It's like nice. It's nice, relaxing. It's like you're on a lazy river, you know.
I do have a voice that makes you want to go to sleep. We had on that fucking shyster. What was his name? That he was at like Uri Geller. You know who that is?
Yeah,
You guys
yeah,
are
yeah.
young. Uri Geller is a hypnotist, mentalist who was like famous in the 70s and 80s, and he did a lot of things with celebrities, kind of like David Blaine does now. But he
But
was
he was
just
lying though.
he was totally lying.
He told everyone he had actual powers.
Right. And he would hold a fork and make the fork bend, and it was all gimmicks and shit that he did. And they nailed him pretty good.
Did you ever
And
see that on Carson when they did that?
Was that the one with him? Was that where the Amazing Randy busted him?
Yep. Yeah. So he was on Carson, and Carson used to be a magician too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Carson knew the Amazing Randy, and Amazing Randy was like set up all these little experiment things, and was like, okay, don't tell him you're gonna do this, because if he knows, he'll fuck with it all, or do some kind of secret shit. So it's the most awkward, like,
it is
30
really
minutes.
awkward because he can't do the thing that he said he was going to do, and it was crazy. But so I had him on the show one time because he was hosting some sort of shit contest with mentalism on TV or whatever, and I said, what can you do for us now on the air? And he goes, well, I could hypnotize you, but I'm afraid if it goes over there, we may hypnotize your audience as they're driving to work. And I'm like, what would be fucking greater than that for press? Is you hypnotize a couple of 100,000 people on a bridge traveling to St. Petersburg? That'd be something else. But this scamming fuck goes, Mike, do you have a watch on? And I was like, actually, I don't. He goes, well, you have a watch at home, right? And I go, yes. He goes, when you go home and most of your listening audience, your watch will stop within the next 10 minutes. And I went, so that you're just breaking everybody's watches. He goes, it'll just stop. I was like, well, that's pretty genius of him, because I'm not wearing a watch, and we've already established that. And he'll be off the phone in 2 minutes, and I don't know, I'm not going to be able to call him back in 11 minutes and be like, hey, guess what? Nobody's fucking watch isn't working. So meanwhile, for the next 10 minutes, we're all staring at watches, waiting to see if this guy broke some shit. He suckered us, walked us right down the path, right down the fucking path. Did you see the documentary about the Amazing Randy?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's amazing. When he busted Popovich and
yeah, but did you see like about his life?
Yeah.
So the Amazing Randy, who I assume is still alive, I don't know.
No, he died a couple years ago.
He did die?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
He had a $100,000 check in his pocket, and that if anybody could prove to him that they can speak to the dead, or they had telepathical powers, or the powers to move things and all that, he would give them the check right there on the spot. And all he did was bust fake people. And he wasn't anti-magic. He was anti-scammers. He didn't want anybody to scam. And then for years, I've been seeing him, like you said, with Carson, and then with Penn and Teller. And he'd been on TV a bunch of times, and he became that guy who was out trying to stop all the scammers.
Yeah.
And then when you watch this documentary, you think that that's what it's going to be about. And then it turned out this guy was gay, and he had a young Hispanic lover, and there was no nothing weird about their relationship
it
or
was just
anything. But then,
wholesome.
yeah, and they were trying to fuck with him and kick the kid out. It was so interesting because you think you know what you're watching, and all of a sudden it just takes this weird turn. You're like, what? It's very, I always am amazed. How are you at, like, I can never tell. You're in New York, so it's probably a lot easier. I could never tell. I'm the last one to know somebody's gay. Like I'm also the last person to know if somebody's wearing a toupee. Like the two guys that brought the Stanley Cup out last night to the Avalanche, I tweeted out, I'm like, these guys have the worst hair pieces ever, because there's no way they were really, like, Letterman used to say that all the time when I was a kid. Letterman used to be like, I have the worst hairpiece on television. And I thought, he has a hairpiece, and he didn't. He just had bad hair. So I'm always the last person to know if somebody's wearing a hairpiece or if they're gay. So when I'm asking, I'm like, is that guy gay? I don't really care if they're gay. I just kind of want to know. You know what I mean? And I had no idea the Amazing Randi was gay.
I mean, he
Yeah,
looks so
totally
old.
gay.
He looks so old.
Yeah.
Look at those eyebrows. You don't have eyebrows like that and that cane.
I don't know, dude. He looks to me like he's cool, right? But he looks like also he could have all the dark powers, you know? Yeah, right. So to me, those bad guys aren't gay.
He had a huge problem with charlatans and like people being misled and giving all their money away to these psychics that could, like John Edwards or whatever his name is, that said he could talk to the dead, and people would give away their life savings to these scam artists.
Can I tell you something about John Edwards? Okay.
Yeah.
So John Edwards' show starts to become popular probably about 20 years ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago.
I used to watch it.
So did I. It starts to become popular, and you're all like, this is kind of bullshit. This guy doesn't. Then I looked on his website, and he was booked up for like 2 years in advance. And I thought, this guy is fucking rich, because they were charging a mint to make an appointment with him, and he was booked solid for like 2 years. So we watched it a little bit, and then my brother's first wife gets killed in a car accident. Young, they just had a baby. It was a fucking horrible disaster. So my brother starts watching this John Edward thing, and he's like, what do you think? I go, I don't know, man. What do I think? I think it's bullshit, but he's so fucking good at it.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see, the deal. So he's like, so one day he calls me up and he's like, hey, John Edwards is coming to Orlando. And I go, okay. And he goes, will you go with me? And I was like, yeah. He goes, but I don't have tickets. And I go, okay. And he goes, I'm sure somebody will be scalping tickets. I'm going to buy a ticket. And he goes, and if not, I'm going to bring $1,000 and try to buy my way in. My brother has a lot of money. So I go, okay. So we go out to Orlando. It's in some hotel. The show starts at like, say, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. We're there at like noon trying to find somebody selling tickets. And we're pretty much just sitting in the car, stalking this place all day, and nothing's going on. It was the most boring fucking day of my life. Then a little early in the afternoon, some action starts happening. People start showing up. Then my brother is like trying to find somebody selling a ticket. He's got $1,000 for 2 tickets. Can't get none. They won't sell him anything at the door. Sold out. Firemen, there. No, they can't do it. Now the line's getting bigger and bigger, and people are starting to. So my brother goes, hey, I bought 1 ticket. Guy was selling 1 ticket. I bought it for $400. I was like, great.
Yeah.
Go in. He's like, what about you? I go, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I'll get in.
Yeah, you got the wife.
yeah, you go in. And I was like, but save me a seat next to you. I'll get in somehow. He's like,
Right.
okay. So I'm in the lobby area where everybody's kind of getting checked in to go in, and I see this woman go in the service door. So I follow her in the service door, like as it's closing, I do one of these. And now I'm in this cement hallway, and I don't see the woman anymore, and I just see a long corridor. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna walk like I know where I'm supposed to be. So I just start walking straight. And as I walk, I start hearing the crowd, and I'm like, all right, I must be getting close to something. So I finally come upon one door, and I'm like, I did this one time at Comic-Con. I snuck in through the back, and I opened the door, and when I came out, I was on stage where they were doing a live Q&A. And I never wanted that to happen. So I'm like, let me see where I'm going to end up. So I open the door, and they're literally checking tickets 3 feet to my right, and I'm already past that point in the thing, and I just dip right in. I scoop over, and I see my brother sitting down. He's got a seat sitting next to him, and I was like, I told you I'd make it here. Now, here's the thing. I'm there to watch John Edwards, and hopefully he can come over to my brother and say something that is meaningful and make him happy, whether it's bullshit or not. Right.
Right.
And then the other thing about this guy is, so if you haven't seen him, what he does is he talks to a group and he claims that he sees things in his head. Like he'll be like, who over here died? What's something to do with a screwdriver? And nobody will say anything. And he'll be like, was there a construction accident? I'm seeing a screwdriver, a hammer, and a handle go up. What do you have? My father died on a construction site. And then you're like, okay, so it's common that people die on construction sites. There's 1,000 people in this room.
Yeah.
I see what he's doing. But the thing about John Edwards is he'd go, and did he die from the screwdriver? No, he fell off a roof. And he'd go, not you, somebody else. You had her. If you were scamming, you had, yes, that's your father. He says he's sorry, he has slippery feet, and he wasn't there for your prom. Sorry about that. And you're like, amazing. But he didn't. And he was like,
see, that's smart, because it looks like he messed up. You know?
Right, well, he kept going. And then finally somebody's like, my dad or my grandfather was in a earthquake and a screwdriver fell and hit him. Was your grandfather named Georgie or Greg, some of the G? And she's like, George. He's like, that's who I'm saying. And you're like, holy shit, because he could have went with that first lady.
Yeah.
Then he was like, I'm seeing somebody that died in a plane crash, in a small plane crash. 4 hands go up. 4 people. And they're like, was it a small plane? No, it was a jetliner with 300 people. Not you.
It's the remaining members of Leonard Skinner.
Yeah. I'm seeing Van Zandt. Then he went over and he was like, and the lady's like, what about you? And he's like, yeah, he was a fighter pilot. And then, no, this was a crash. Then finally gets this lady and he's like, my husband was taking a flying lesson and the engine quit and the plane went down. And she's like, was it down like in Nebraska or somewhere in the middle? She's like, yeah, it was Idaho. He goes, and was I'm seeing blue. Was it? She goes, he was wearing his favorite blue. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like he could have easily picked anyone. Oh, a fighter jet. Yeah, you move for dogfights, Vietnam, and just gone with that bullshit until they gave up all the information because they're so anxious. So then he comes over and he's like, I'm getting pulled over here, and he comes right in front of me, and he starts saying, I see. Oh, and he's like, whoever it is Italian and from New York because they're loud, and that's like his big thing. The louder the people are in his head. Yeah. And he's like, I'm seeing a name, something with a V, a Vito, a Vita, and my grandmother was Vita. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting there with my head down, and he's like, somebody has a best friend that just moved to Toronto, and like 3 days before, David Wells got traded from the Yankees to the Blue Jays. I'm like, oh my God, is this motherfucker talking about me? I'm like, how? Everything he said was something that had to do with me, but I'm like, I'm not raising my fucking head. I can just see my brother. He looked at me and I go, I don't know. I just put my head down. I don't know dead people. I don't want to talk to anybody. I got nothing happening. But
you
that
steal
was
his dead person moment.
Yeah, dude, that's happened too. He's like, I'll be talking to somebody, and then a louder person will come in, like Whoopi Goldberg from Ghost. I don't know. I don't believe it. And then years later, he had one of his assistants, a guy that worked with him, branched off to try and do his own thing. And that guy came in the studio, and he was just as convincing. And he nailed Galvin, who I work with. His wife called in, her ex-boyfriend, before Galvin died of cancer. And this guy had no idea who she was. They weren't even married at the time. And he's like, I see somebody close to you had a disease, but he was young, and almost nailed the last thing he said to her before he died. So part of me is like, did some of these people tap into the portion of the brain that we can't get into? Or is it all just complete bullshit? Which I tend to believe it's probably all complete bullshit, because Penn and Teller, they do that shit too. They learn how to do it, and they make you think that but they show you that it's all bullshit. But I don't know, man.
I mean, it's called cold reading, you know? Yeah. Some people are just really, really good at it.
Well, but I don't know how you live with yourself.
The one in that Randi documentary where they busted the preachers. Yeah, the people going into the arena were filling out like prayer cards and stuff with like their prayers on it and putting it into a box. So they were just reading stuff off of those cards. Yeah, we had a guy do that to me one time. A psychic from Vegas wanted to call in, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I know the difference between guys who could do it good and guys bad. And the guy's like, I got something for you, Mike. I'm seeing a woman named Michelle,
And I'm like, that's an easy fucking Google search. I mean, first thing that comes up is my sister-in-law died in a car accident. And I was like, really? I go, you Googled me? And the guy's like, well, I was like, oh, you're an asshole. Then I got mad. I hung up on him, and then I got mad and gave out his home phone number. I go, call that guy up and tell him what an asshole he is. And I gave out his phone number. But they didn't see that coming, douchebag.
It's slightly less it's less impressive now when you can just go on Facebook.
Yeah. Although it's two things that fascinate me. One is the possibility that maybe they are talking to dead people, and then the other one is maybe I could do that. Like, I think that maybe I could be a fast talking slickster enough to where I can get some, because John Edwards was fucking loaded. Same thing with that Long Island Medium and all that bullshit. You get any dumb Italian who misses their grandmother, and you can convince them to get culture.
I see a giant mushroom in your future.
That ain't no mushroom. All right. Well, thank you for bearing with us on the show today. I'm sorry Bobby wasn't here, but I believe we will be back together on Friday right here on the Calta and Kelly show. Thank you to Joe Russell and his new 5 that you'll see every Monday night. And check out Joe. Just go to YouTube, search The Cheese Show, and you'll find Joe and Olivia's Cheese Show, which I got to tell you, that cheese bread thing looked fucking phenomenal.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah, that looks really good. And then, of course, you could find Mush at Mike V. Suarez on Instagram. And for all of Bobby's dates, you can go to Robert Kelly Live and find out where he's going to be there. I don't even want to bother reading them right now because I don't know what's canceled and what's not. I don't want to confuse everybody, but if you go to robertkellylive.com, you can find them there. And, of course, comicwearables.com, where you can get a shirt with one of our dumb faces on it. And there is nothing more disturbing than when a person sees you wearing a shirt with your own face on it. Trust me, I've experienced that. But a close second is you with Bobby's face on it. It's also something weird about a really hot girl wearing a really ugly guy on their shirt. So feel free to go check them out. Mention Ladybugs and get a discount. Thank you to Lou, who was commenting, and I saw Fat JC in there, and all the people who were involved in today's show. I'm sorry I wasn't able to look. I only saw those two pop up. And we'll be back. Have a great day. Check us out on Instagram, Calta and Kelly. I've been trying to update that as well, too, at Calta and Kelly. Anything else, Mush, before we wrap it up?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night and a great week, and we'll see you on Friday. Goodbye.